The 19th founder of Waterbased Wax Young Winning, Mr. Young, and technical service manager, Mr. Zhao Yu. Then some friends may remember the Mr. Young and you have also come to our studio before. Talk to us about this wax emulsion, wax dispersion. And today we once again invited Mr. Young and you. Come and introduce to us in more detail this particle size control of polyolefin wax. That is, how can we control its particle size more finely, including a smaller particle size distribution for our wax emulsion? What are some performance advantages of particle size control? These may be relatively little knowledge that we usually come into contact with. Okay, so if you have any questions, feel free to interact with us in the live room. Okay, so let's talk about the classification of polyolefin oligomers. Mr. Young will give us a brief introduction first. What are the main polyolefin oligomers?
Hello, I am very happy to have the opportunity to cooperate with Lian Gong again. It's been almost a year since the last cooperation.
Yes.
What about polyolefins? It is relatively common to belong to us. What about as an oligomer? It also belongs to that year, which is relatively advanced. I remember when I first introduced polyolefin oligomers, high molecular weight, a wax-like substance. At the time, we thought it performs much better than natural wax, and modern is not very fashionable, it's obsolete. Then polyolefin. We mainly refer to military sentences. It's the structure of polyethylene and polypropylene. Well, that includes it. Some copolymers, like E and this EVA, these copolymers. What about oligomers? It is being modified. For example, introduce this carboxyl group. Oxidation then will get some modification. That is, there is a relative increase of some hydrophilic polymers. Molecular weight of polyolefin wax.
So,
it exhibits some excellent performance. Like the first one, its molecular weight is relatively large, so it will be chemically stable. Well, the physical and mechanical properties are much better, but its problem is less hydrophobic, including some characteristics of this polyolefin wax.
Why are we in paint? This polyolefin wax is used more often.
The biggest difference between it and petroleum wax is that it does not contain this mineral oil. Well, then its molecular weight is relatively high, but its chain structure is the same. Then it does not contain mineral oil. It is in food contact recently. A new topic is brought up.
Okay.
Well, does it contain mineral oil? That branched chain alkane. We thought there was bioaccumulation. So now Europe. Still a little worried about this. After the molecular weight increases, the physical and mechanical properties will definitely be good. And he did it synthetically. That it is synthetic, so it has less impurities. It is not bound to contain impurities like natural wax. So relatively speaking, for example, non-oxidizing polyolefin wax, it will be very clean. Its product performance is also very good. It is also not prone to yellowing. Weather resistance, it's environmentally friendly. Processability, mainly what we think, that is, we do water-based processing, because its quality is relatively stable, so the relative processing technology is easier to control. Include the definition of this particle size.
What is the particle size, and how to control the particle size of the wax emulsion? This judgment, the particle size of wax emulsion we usually often seen in this manual. What does the particle size of D5 or D90 mean? I believe there may be many of our engineer friends. In fact, I don't know much about this. Yang Gong will talk about it for us.
First of all, D50 is a very important index to determine the particle size, because particles are not regular. So make it regular. For example, equal volume or equal projected area. Make it this spherical. Then the diameter of this sphere is the particle size. Second, We divide these spheres into 100 pieces. D50 is the diameter of the 50th sphere. So we can put the D50 understand as a standard indicator of particle size. Of course, this indicator is also based on D10 or D90. The best description of the particle size distribution is that span. It's D90 minus D10 divided by D50. This indicator is not fixed, but determined according to needs. So here's the data. If the gap is small, then it is closer to D90 and D20. Then this value is very small. Therefore, this data represents width and width of particle size distribution. Particle size is in our industry. It's an important metric. Our current production process is water-based processing. The polymers used in our products are not synthesized by us. After we choose the right polymer, it is fused into water through a special process, and the accuracy of this process is the control of particle size. So the smaller the span, the narrower the size distribution. The device for measuring particle size is a laser particle size analyzer.
This device uses the principle of measuring particle size. Like you just said, if it is an irregular sphere, then I'm going to measure its particle size. Are you going to measure its projected area?
Well, the laser shown on it, blocked by it. Then this and the projected area you mentioned are formed. Then measure this result to get the particle size. Lasers don't scatter easily, therefore, its measurement accuracy is relatively accurate. So the basic principle of it is to